Hi everybody, my name's Kelly Phones. I'm an educator here at Montavilla Sewing Centers located in Portland, Oregon. Today we will be working with the Janome 9450 and we're going to be focusing on free motion and thread painting with this machine. This comes with a whole bunch of different feet that you can use for either of those applications. The best way to set up your machine for this is to go in through your t-shirt. I already have the straight stitch needle plate on, which obviously you're just going to want to do a straight stitch. If you were going to be doing any zigzagging, you would want to switch out to your regular plate. So we will probably be doing that. Now, on the side of the machine, there is a switch. You're going to need to lower your feed dogs. So I'm going to reach around to the side and I'm going to pull that forward. I pop off my foot. You can see that those feed dogs are down. And those are going to stay down until I flip that switch back and either turn my hand wheel or start sewing or push the needle up down button. So you do have to make them revolve to come back up. These are specialty feet. Some of the feet for this machine have a double bar system. And the way you need to put those on is there's a little hook on the back that you click the back bar into and then you click it into the front, just like you would any other foot. So I like to drop the foot electronically, bring it back up manually, and I'm going to hook it on that back bar, and then I'm just going to pop that back down. Oops. So that will make sure that's on both, that's locked into both positions. The reason for those double bar system is because these feet are really tiny and they wouldn't stay in place if they were just the single bar. So the first one, the one that I put on the machine, is a closed toe. This is an open toe. I refer to these two as floaty feet because they don't have a spring, so they're just going to hover right over the top of your fabric. This you use for your variable zigzag, and this one is an echo foot, and you can also do zigzag with this foot. I'm going to move these out of the way, and I'm going to show you how to set up the machine to use this particular style of foot. So you'll notice that we could click that straight onto our ankle without having to switch out to a different ankle. So it is a good time saver. Depending on what I'm doing, I may use this setup or I may actually switch to a more traditional free motion foot or even a ruler foot. So the best way to set it up is to, again, go in through your t-shirt and go to your free motion options. So you can see that you have a straight stitch option, a free quilting, and a hand look quilting. So you have different options for this. You also have ruler work. All of these will do a straight stitch. We don't have the right needle plate on to do other ones. I'm going to switch it later so you can see that. So we're going to go to free quilting, and it's going, the first one, you would need to use your springy foot, which looks like this. So it's a very traditional kind of free motion foot. Right now I have it set up with the little floaty foot. And I can come in here and I can adjust the height of the foot. And I do that based on how thick my fabric is. This is pretty thin, and see how much distance there is between? I'm going to have problems with that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to lower that quite a bit. Hit OK. Lower that foot, and so now it is just kind of skimming over the surface. This is a one-stitch stop button. It's kind of hard to say. And what that does is it's going to take one stitch, then the machine's going to stop, and that will give me the opportunity to go ahead and pull up my bobbin thread. So we're just going to start the machine, and you'll notice how it stopped. And this time I'm just going to pull that thread underneath my foot. If I was really doing this, I would probably care about pulling up the bobbin thread so I could bury those tails later. So I'll have, with free motion on any machine, the correct speed is the one that works the best for how you move the fabric. So there is some trial and error for that. I have found that I like about a medium. That seems to work really well with how I move the fabric. And I am really just pretty much a novice at doing this. I tend to play with my serger and my embroidery machine and things more. So let's just get started and see how easily that moves around. So I'm finding that I'm pushing the fabric a little bit too much. So I'm going to stop it for a moment, and I'm going to increase that speed just a little bit. And that's probably a better speed for me. But really, everyone is very different on how they move their fabric. Hit stop, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut those tails. I'm not trying to make this look pretty, I'm just trying to show you guys how to set it all up. So if that was a bumblebee, that wouldn't look too bad. Now on the back, where you have your bobbins, what you want to see is a nice even tension. You don't want, when I was going really fast around these little curves, you don't want to see any eyelashing. You want that nice and tight right against your fabric. For the most part, this machine is going to do that for you without aggravating you. Oh, and I didn't have my foot on very tight, so that will give me better results if I tighten that down. So that's how you use all of these types of floating feet, whether you're doing a zigzag or a straight stitch. The next one I'm going to show you is this one, where you use a more traditional foot. So we're going to have to swap out that ankle. And what do I have? I'm going to put the free motion open toe foot on. A lot of people really prefer the open toe foot because they can see what they're doing. Plus, it's a lot easier to get your thread underneath your foot if the toe is open. So this machine comes with both the open toe and the closed toe options. The only difference is between the two red lines. On this one, it's open. Now, sometimes you're going to want that closed toe because it's going to help hold your fabric down a little better. If you're doing free motion on Minky, you're probably going to want that closed toe. So I'm going to start it, and it's going to stop for me. I'm going to start it up again. Works very much the same. With this pre-quilted fabric, it really seems to work better to use the more traditional spring foot. So I'm getting nice, smooth results, and I have tiny little stitches, but they're pretty darn consistent. Most importantly, on the back, I'm getting a really lovely, even result, no eyelashing, no tension issues at all. The reason I'm getting such terrific results is I am remembering to use my technique section, and I'm going in through free quilting. If you simply select a straight stitch and drop your feed dogs, the machine is going to treat your tensions differently. And remember, this is an auto tension system. So when you tell it specifically what you want to do, it's going to help you a lot. If you forget about this part of the machine and you're having some problems, don't worry. As soon as you start having some problems, you tend to remember there is a different part to work with. Next thing we're going to look at is our ruler work section. So we have to go through a different part. It's still under this part of your techniques, but we have to go to page 2 and select ruler work. Now, a lot of people have been using these rulers, and they're hard plastic shapes. They're kind of like reverse stencils because your ruler foot follows the outline of the ruler as you stitch along. So for me, they're terrific because I get kind of stressed out trying to figure out what direction to go and how to move the fabric, so I can just follow right along this curve or any of these straight edges. We carry the Westerly rulers. We have a lot of different education on the Westerly rulers. And here's a close-up of that foot. And look at all the beautiful things you can do with your quilting. It's also hugely time-saving to use your rulers as opposed to using a traditional stencil and pounce pad. You just sit down and away you go. Well, you do have to mark a couple things. So we're going to take this free motion foot off. And we're going to replace it with that ruler foot. And when I get it on, why am I? Do I have the wrong one? Ah, there we go. You have to back that screw out quite a lot to get this on. So the way these are set up from the center of the foot to the edge of the foot is going to be 1/4 of an inch, which is a really handy measurement because we tend to use 1/4 inch in a lot of quilts. So this is kind of like the floating feet where you want it just to be skimming over the top of your fabric. So we're going to drop that and see how we're doing. And that feels really good to me because I don't want it kind of grabbing it and bunching it up. There are some silicone mats called Supreme Sliders, Super Sliders. I find those really helpful because they allow your fabric to just slip right across the bed of your machine. The way you do this, you can adjust the height of that foot over here in your settings right here. We're good, so I'm not going to worry about that. And all I have to do is turn it on. It's going to do that 1 stitch stop, which you can turn off. And I am going way too slow. And I can just come down here. And then I can stop it. If I want to do a parallel row to that, I'm going to line it up. I don't know how well you guys can see this. There are lines on the ruler right here, so I can line that up right along that stitch. Comes with some little tape that helps it stick to your, stay put where you want it so it doesn't slip around on your fabric. And we're just going to do that same row. So by repositioning that ruler, you're going to be able to come up with pretty much an infinite quantity of designs. The nice thing is people have been using these rulers for a while, so there is a whole lot of information and assistance available on them. these thread tails out of the way. And see how I have these two perfect parallel lines? So I can set those up to be any distance apart, and I really only have to make sure this first line is nice and straight on my project. There are probably more ways to do free motion on this machine. The things that are important to remember is, number one, drop your feed dogs. I forget to do that. And number two, remember to go into your t-shirt section on your machine. If you do that, the machine will set itself up for you so that you will have terrific results. And I really am very much a novice at this, and look what good results I had. They may not be pretty, but the stitch quality is excellent. Hope this has helped you out. If you have any questions, want more information about the Westerly rulers, give us a call at the Beaverton location. We'll be happy to help you out with that. Happy sewing, everybody.